beat goes on.
And this is indeed Artbeat with Donna Belcassis, who has a very special guest with her and us today. The pleasure of the introduction is yours, as is the microphone. Donna Bell.
Bill, good morning. Thank you. Since COVID hit in 2020, the burden of life in lockdown has predominantly fallen on women and on mothers in particular, with many pressure to leave the workforce entirely to focus on childcare while schools are virtual. And for many artists, mothers who, especially those who work from home studios, this issue has shaped their experiences of the pandemic, limiting their studio time as they struggle to adapt to new roles. And the situation only adds to the professional disadvantages mothers who are artists already face. Priya Green is a local artist and mother who continues to thrive despite these challenges. She joins us today. Welcome.
Hi, great to be here.
Now, congratulations, Priya. There, you have a new addition to your growing family. You have two children now, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I have two kids.
New baby girl, so that's really exciting. Now, according to your website, you are a painter and your work explores the idea of entanglement, displacement, fragmentation, and fracturing. Can you explain to us what that means?
Yeah, so my work has, evolved a lot, I'd say, even in the last 10 years. But those seem to be the lasting themes that are always there. And I, take a look at my personal experience, but then also looking at the outside world as well, as I think many artists do. Um, and I just have always been interested in thinking about these more abstract and maybe almost metaphysical ideas about time and distance and space. And I think a lot of that just comes from my experience of, I have parents who are immigrants, and even my husband is an immigrant, and thinking about the relationships that we have and how that gets affected by time and distance. So a lot of those themes have showed up in my work, in the past 10 years. And, lately, especially after since becoming a mother, I feel like I've really started to think about the world in a different way, as many mothers do. And that has also been affecting my work and how I think about these topics.
Now, Priya, there's a sort of yearning in your work. Your work is conceptual through a representational lens and framework. What type of imagery do you use in your paintings?
So I lately have been using a lot of images that I take in my own home of the domestic space. Um, there has been a lot of imagery of flowers because every day I look out the same window in my dining room where we have flowers and plants. And so I had been interested by how, even though the space itself is not changing, that remains constant, there's this one thing that is constantly changing throughout the year. And so a lot of these paintings that I've been making of the window is talking about that change within the constant. So yeah, there's the images of flowers, and I've also have one painting that I've made recently where there was an image of my son in front of the laptop, and I've been playing around a lot with fragmenting the images and placing different images next to each other in the same painting and that sort of thing.
Now, do you normally work from home, or is this a new situation with the current state of the world right now?
Well, I've had a home studio for since 2014, so for the past almost 7 years. So that's not anything new for me. It's like, especially being a painter, you're so used to being a hermit, as you probably know, Don.
Right,
Um,
yes.
so yeah, in that sense, staying at home did not really affect um, my sense of space and the way that I work. It did affect my sense of time and the amount of time that I have.
Well,
Um,
that was my next question. How do you manage to carve out time for your studio practice?
it's so hard. It's difficult. It's always been difficult. Even from before I had kids, it's just difficult because, I am working full time and also trying to maintain a practice which feels like it needs to be full time. So, in a way, it has always felt like I've had multiple jobs. And then now being a mother, it's just adding another job. So, I guess I've just become used to having to always juggle many different types of jobs. And right now, they're all at home. So, in some sense, it's made things easier because,
Mm.
I don't have to commute to a job and, there's more efficiency in that way. But it's also made the lines and boundaries between the jobs a little bit more blurry. Need to find, like, when is studio time versus, you know, spending time with my kids versus, the work that I have to do for my job. So, um, it's complicated, but, we're all in that boat right now. So,
For sure, for sure. And I think
Get it now.
mothers are the ultimate multitaskers. And
oh,
just
yeah.
briefly, you're currently in a virtual exhibit at UMass Museum Contemporary of Art entitled
Mhm.
"We Are for Freedoms." Which, can you tell us a little bit about this piece briefly? I know it actually recently is now part of uh, the collection. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you. So the exhibition actually is in person in addition to being virtual. But the piece is about we're responding to the idea of freedom, as is all the artists in the show. So this was my take on the idea of freedom and thinking about recent events in the U.S. and just my own personal experiences and how they go together.
Well, congratulations on your show and continuing to show and work. If you want to see more of Priya Nadkarni Green's work, you can go to her website at priyanadkarni.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are so inspiring.
Oh, thank you so much. You are too, Donnabelle.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Sorry we have to end this love fest, but it is the end of the show. Thank you, Donabelle. Thank you, Bria. Great conversation. I was really, really interested to hear it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
This is Bill Newman.